The recycled air of Hellion Station's lower markets carried a mixture of scent-spicy food stalls, industrial lubricants, and the unmistakable musk of too many species packed into too little space. Marcus Vale adjusted the portable humidity dome, protecting his rare seedlings as he navigated through the crowded transit hub. As a botanist specializing in cross-planetary vegetation adaptation, he'd learned to move carefully through the station's busier sections. "Credit balance insufficient," announced the automated voice from the public cleansing facility. "Please deposit additional 16 credits for standard hygiene cycle." Marcus glanced toward the sound. A slender figure stood before the cleansing facility terminal, pressing her fingertips against the scanner repeatedly. Each attempt met with the same rejection, even from a distance. Her purple skin marked her as Nebulae, one of the rarer species to visit this human-dominated station. He hesitated only briefly before approaching. "Excuse me," Marcus said gently. "Is everything all right?" The Nebulae woman turned, luminous violet eyes widening slightly. Her skin shimmered with a subtle iridescence, even under the harsh station lighting. She began, then straightened her posture with evident pride. "The terminal appears to be malfunctioning." Marcus smiled kindly. "These older models can be temperamental. May I?" He stepped forward and touched his wristband to the scanner. 20 credits should cover a premium cycle. Extra water ration included. The woman's expression shifted from surprise to cautious gratitude. "That's unexpectedly generous. Why would you assist a stranger?" "Everyone deserves basic necessities." Marcus shrugged. "I'm Marcus Vale, by the way. Botanical research. Level 7. Stera," she replied, the name flowing with a musical quality. "I arrived yesterday from the Centaurus trading route. First time on Hellion." She nodded, studying him with open curiosity. "Your species has a reputation for self-interest, especially regarding resources." Marcus laughed softly. "Some of us try to break the stereotype. Will you be staying long?" "Unknown," Lasara said, a shadow passing briefly across her features. "My journey depends on certain discoveries." The cleansing facility door slid open with a hydraulic hiss. "Your cycle is ready," Marcus noted. "Listen, I know the station can be overwhelming at first. If you need guidance, or just someone to share a meal with, I'm usually at the hydroponics lab or my quarters in Section 4B. Lysara tilted her head, considering him with an intensity that seemed to reach beyond casual interaction. "You offer assistance without expectation of return?" "Just being neighborly," Marcus replied. "That's all, among my people. Such kindness is ... significant." Her voice carried an undertone he couldn't quite decipher. "I would be interested in learning more about your work, Marcus Vale." "I'd enjoy that," he said sincerely. "The station's botanical garden is quite beautiful. If you'd like to meet there tomorrow?" Lysara nodded, a slight smile finally gracing her features. "Until tomorrow, then." As she disappeared into the cleansing facility, Marcus continued toward his quarters, unaware that his simple act of kindness had just set in motion events that would alter not just his own destiny, but potentially that of an entire species teetering on extinction's edge. The botanical garden on Level 7 stood as Hellion Station's most successful attempt at creating natural beauty in the sterility of space. Marcus waited by the artificial stream, surrounded by plants from 17 different worlds carefully arranged to coexist in harmony. When Lysara appeared at the garden entrance, several researchers turned to stare at the rare Nebulae visitor. "You came," Marcus smiled, offering her a small cup of amber liquid. "Hibiscus tea from earth plants I've been cultivating." Lysara accepted the cup, her slender fingers brushing against his. "Your kindness continues," she observed, taking a careful sip. "This garden, it reminds me of the conservation domes on my homeworld." As they walked among the exotic flora, Lysara spoke of her people. The Nebulae once inhabited 3 worlds in a distant system, but environmental degradation had forced them to a single planet with a rapidly declining population. "Our genetic diversity has become dangerously limited," she explained, pausing before a delicate blue flower. "I was selected as an emissary, one tasked with finding compatible genetic material To diversify our remaining bloodlines. Marcus processed her words carefully. You're here looking for compatible partners? Not randomly, Lysara clarified, her violet eyes meeting his. The nebulae believe that character reveals genetic quality. We seek individuals who demonstrate compassion without expectation of reward. She touched his arm gently. Like you did yesterday. Marcus felt warmth rise to his face. I just paid for a shower. You saw a stranger in need and helped without hesitation, she countered. Do you understand how rare that is? Most species prioritize their own kind. They reached a small alcove with a view of the station's exterior, countless stars punctuating the vast darkness. In the privacy of this moment, Lysara revealed more. My people are telepathically sensitive. We sense intentions and emotional honesty. When you helped me, I felt a resonance. I was softened. Among the nebulae, such resonance is considered the foundation of potential bonding. Marcus leaned against the viewing panel. Are you saying that by paying for your shower, I accidentally— What? Proposed. Lysara's laughter was like wind chimes. No, but you did identify yourself as someone worthy of consideration. Her expression grew serious. I have 3 lunar cycles to find a compatible partner before returning. Without new genetic material, my lineage will end within 2 generations. That's an enormous pressure to place on someone, Marcus said quietly. I would never compel anyone, Lysara assured him. Compatibility must be mutual. As artificial twilight dimmed the garden lights, their conversation deepened. Marcus shared his own story, his passion for creating sustainable ecosystems, his estrangement from Earth's corporate botanical conglomerates, and his solitary life aboard the station. When their hands met again over dinner in his modest quarters, the touch lingered. Marcus found himself drawn to her otherworldly grace and the depth of her perspective. For her part, Lysara seemed fascinated by his gentle approach to nurturing life. Tomorrow I could show you my current project, he offered as they finished their meal. I'm developing plants that can purify water in lower source environments. I would enjoy that, she replied. As she rose to leave, Lysara hesitated at his door. In my culture, we believe that the universe arranges meaningful encounters. Perhaps our meeting wasn't accidental. Before departing, she leaned forward and pressed her forehead gently to his traditional nebulae gesture of growing trust. The subtle scent of something like lavender and starlight lingered in his quarters long after she had gone. 3 weeks passed like stardust through an hourglass. Marcus and Lysara fell into an easy rhythm, spending most free hours together exploring the station or working side by side in his laboratory. Today, they were in Section 12F, neglected community area where Marcus had established a small garden for station residents. These children have never seen real soil, Marcus explained as they watched a group of station-born youngsters plant seedlings under his guidance. Most foods here are synthesized or grown in hydroponic tanks. Lysara knelt beside a small human girl struggling with her planting. On my world, children begin communing with plants before they can speak, she said, gently guiding the child's hands. We believe life recognizes life. The station's resource allocation alarms blared, suddenly the 3rd time this week. Water rationing had become stricter as Hellion faced supply chain disruptions from ongoing conflicts in the outer sectors. Another reduction, Marcus sighed, checking his communication band. They're cutting residential water by 20%. Later that evening, in Marcus's quarters, they discussed the growing crisis. Their shared concern had brought them physically closer. Lysara sat beside him on a small couch, her shoulder pressed against his. My research might help, she offered. Nebulae developed moisture extraction technologies centuries ago when our atmosphere began thinning. Would your people share such technology? Marcus asked, his fingers absently intertwining with hers. I could request permission, she said. Though our council is cautious about sharing advancements, their conversation quieted as awareness of their closeness grew. Weeks of shared meals, laughter, and work had built something neither had anticipated. Marcus found himself studying the delicate patterns that shimmered beneath her purple skin when she was animated about a topic. Lysara had become fascinated by the expressiveness of his eyes, how they reflected his thoughts before he voiced them. I've been meaning to ask, Marcus said softly. The resonance you mentioned feeling when we met, has it grown stronger? Lysara's gaze dropped to their joined hands. It has. Among my people, this would signify profound compatibility. And for you? He asked, heart quickening. Instead of answering with words, Lysara leaned forward, pressing her lips gently to his, in a gesture she'd learned was significant to humans. The kiss deepened naturally, an exchange of tenderness that transcended their biological differences. When they parted, Marcus traced the luminescent patterns along her cheekbone. I never expected to find someone who understands both sides of Mitha, scientist and the dreamer. Nor did I expect to find someone whose compassion extends to all living things, she whispered against his neck as she nestled closer. That night, they discovered the beautiful language of touch that bridges all species. Marcus marveled at how her skin glowed with increased luminescence when she experienced pleasure. Lysara found herself entranced by the warmth of his body, radiated as they explored each other. With gentle curiosity and growing desire their bodies found harmony despite their differences. A dance of discovery and connection that left them breathless and intertwined in his narrow sleeping pod. As artificial dawn slowly brightened his quarters, they remained wrapped in each other's arms, whispering about stars they'd each seen from different worlds. 3 more weeks until your mission ends, Marcus said quietly, his fingers tracing patterns along her spine. Lysara propped herself up to look into his eyes. My mission was to find genetic compatibility for my lineage's continuation, she said carefully. But I found something I never thought possible, a connection that transcends biological necessity. Are you saying what I think you're saying? Marcus asked, hardly daring to hope. I'm saying, Lysara replied, pressing another kiss to his lips, that perhaps the universe knew exactly what it was doing when it arranged for my credit balance to be insufficient that day. The resource crisis on Helion Station had escalated to emergency levels. Water rations were cut further, and tensions between different species grew palpable in the crowded corridors. Marcus found himself working double shifts in the hydroponics lab, desperately trying to maximize the efficiency of their food production systems. The station council wants to meet with us, Marcus told Lysara, as they shared a meager breakfast in his quarters. Your proposal about nebulae moisture extraction technology caught their attention. Lysara looked up from the communication device she'd been studying intently. I've received a response from my council of elders, she said, her voice carefully measured. They've agreed to share the basic technology, but they want something in return. What do they want? Marcus asked, noticing the subtle dimming of the luminescence beneath her skin, a sign of her distress he'd learned to recognize. Want me to return immediately to begin the genetic preservation process? Her violet eyes met his. They're pleased I found compatibility, but they're unwilling to wait another week as planned. The implication hung in the air between them. Her mission had always been about ensuring her lineage's survival. But somewhere along their journey together, both had begun hoping for something more. You told them about us? Marcus asked softly. Lysara nodded. I informed them of our genetic compatibility and our emotional resonance. She reached across the table to take his hand. They see you only as valuable genetic material, not as the man I've come to love. The word love lingered between them, spoken aloud for the first time. Later that day, they stood before the station council, a diverse group of human and alien representatives. The meeting quickly devolved into debate when Councillor Thane, a human known for his xenophobic views, spoke up. We cannot become dependent on alien technology, he argued vehemently, especially from a species known for their reproductive agenda. The nebulae offer this freely, Marcus countered, struggling to maintain his composure. Nothing is free, Thane sneered. We all know why this particular nebulae is here to harvest genetic material from our population for their dying race. Lysara stepped forward, her posture regal despite the hostility directed toward her. Our technology could save lives on this station. The only condition is that I must return to my homeworld soon or without a compatible partner. The unspoken truth of their relationship hung in the charged air of the council chamber after the contentious meeting. They sought refuge in the botanical garden. As artificial night fell, they sat beside the stream. The sound of water now so precious on the station, providing privacy for their conversation. "If I go with you," Marcus said finally, "I would be leaving behind everything I've built here." "If I stay," Lysera replied, "I would be abandoning my people's future." She leaned against him, her head finding the familiar spot on his shoulder. There is no easy answer. That night, their lovemaking carried an edge of desperation, hands memorizing contours, lips whispering promises against skin. As Lysara's body illuminated with pleasure beneath his touch, Marcus found himself overcome with the certainty that what they'd found transcended the boundaries of their separate worlds. In the quiet aftermath, as they lay tangled together, Lysara traced the outline of his face with her fingertips. "There's another option," she whispered, "but it would require great sacrifice from both of us." The nebulae diplomatic vessel gleamed like polished obsidian against Hellion Station's utilitarian exterior. Inside the docking bay, Marcus stood beside Lysara as they faced both the Council of Elders who had arrived unexpectedly, and representatives from the station leadership. "This proposal is unprecedented," stated Elder Neria, the eldest of the three nebulae counselors. Her ancient purple skin bore intricate patterns that spoke of lineages stretching back millennia. "You suggest not merely an exchange of genetic material, but a permanent alliance." Station Director Keller, a pragmatic woman who had risen through the ranks during multiple resource crises, nodded thoughtfully. Mr. Vale's botanical expertise, combined with nebulae water conservation technology, could establish a model for interspecies cooperation. The Aplasticus bold plan had come to Lysara during their final night together, not an ending, but a beginning. Rather than choosing between worlds, they would build a bridge between them. A joint research outpost, Marcus explained. Activating the holographic presentation they had worked through the night to prepare. Built on the third moon of Lysara's homeworld, where both our peoples could collaborate on sustainable ecosystems, the water reclamation technology would remain proprietary to the nebulae, Lysara added. But its benefits would be shared with Hellion Station in exchange for botanical expertise and genetic diversity protocols. Elder Neria's gaze was penetrating. "And the matter of lineage continuation?" Lysara straightened, her hand finding Marcus's. "Marcus and I request formal recognition as bonded mates under nebulae tradition. Any offspring would serve as living embodiments of our alliance, carrying forward both bloodlines with honor." A murmur rippled through both delegations. Interspecies pairing, while not unknown, rarely occurred with such cultural and political significance. Counselor Thane, who had opposed them from the beginning, stepped forward. "This is absurd. Humans and nebulae cannot actually," interrupted Dr. Sendra, the station's chief medical officer. "My preliminary analysis suggests viable compatibility through assisted genetic harmonization. The differences are not as insurmountable as one might assume." 3 days of intense negotiations followed, during which Marcus and Lysara found moments to escape to the botanical garden, their sanctuary on the station. On the final evening, as they sat watching the artificial sunset, Lysara's communication device chimed with the council's decision. "They've approved," she whispered, violet eyes wide with disbelief. "All of it, the research outpost, our bonding recognition, the technology exchange?" Marcus pulled her close, breathing in her familiar scent of lavender and starlight. "So we're really doing this? Creating something entirely new?" From a chance meeting at a shower facility, Lysara laughed softly against his chest. "The universe works in curious ways." 2 months later, as their small research vessel approached the azure moon that would become their home, Lysara stood at the viewing portal with Marcus, her body now carrying the first signs of their child, a genetic miracle made possible through science and determination. "Do you regret it?" she asked, watching her homeworld rise on the horizon. "Leaving behind everything familiar?" Marcus placed his hand gently over the subtle swell of her abdomen, feeling the future stirring beneath his palm. "How could I regret finding you? One act of kindness led to saving 2 civilizations." as they stepped onto the moon's surface, the first human and nebulae to call this place home. They began writing a new chapter, not just in their own lives, but in the histories of both their peoples. The research outpost, soon to be called Haven, by its growing population of scientists and families, would become legendary for its innovations in sustainable living. Years later, when their daughter asked how they met, Marcus would smile at Lasara and say simply, "I once helped a stranger with shower credits not knowing she needed an heir." Lasara would add, "With luminescent patterns glowing bright with happiness. And I found not just genetic compatibility, but a love strong enough to build a bridge between stars." Their legacy of kindness would spread outward like ripples in water, precious, life-giving, and without end.